This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News, news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
We All Be is honored to have on the two jazz master, National Endowment of the Arts Jazz Master, and also 2014 Jimmie Lunceford Legacy Award honoree, a true jazz giant, the one and only who is truly beyond category, Dr. Randy Weston. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm fine, Rod. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain. I'm excited. I'm starting off my morning right by talking to you. Hey, I really enjoyed it. First of all, I really enjoyed your concert you did in honor of James Reese this past fall at NYU. It really blew my mind. It was very inspiring. And it's funny because I came in on action when you played the Memphis Blues. It was like my intro song. And being from Memphis, I was really blown away by it. Just the artistry and the great chemistry between your performers and the African Rhythmist Band. It was really an honor.
Thank you, sir. You know, with the music, we don't know what happens because you are the music also, and when you feel it, and you're a fantastic artist, man. Let me tell you about yourself while a quick minute. I did this wonderful painting of Jimmie Lunceford. And what that did for me, my mother and father taking me to the Apollo Theater. They had Jimmie Lunceford. And Willie Smith played Blues in the Night, and that was a big hit. So I just want to mention that. I don't want to get away from what you're asking me, but it's
all on it
every day.
Yes, sir. Wow. I'm glad you were able to receive that. I appreciate that. I learn something new about Mr. Lunceford every day, especially I interact with people. I didn't know he had that type of influence. It inspired really a whole lot of people in different ways.
Well, you know, every day I'm learning more about what happened when I was a child. I'm learning, you know, and the way they used to dress.
Mm-hmm.
The way they used to dress, man, was they were the fashion setters, you know, and there was so much class, you know, again, coming from James Reese Europe.
Yes, sir.
To set that foundation, take our music on that higher spiritual and that wonderful level. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, actually, how did you get into James Reese Europe? How did you find out about him?
Well, growing up in Brooklyn, New York, and growing up in an area with so many great musicians, in particular Max Roach, and so wherever there was music, we would go hear the music. It could be a calypso dance, could be a blues band, et cetera, et cetera. So we would go to Harlem, but that was like going to Paris in them days, from Brooklyn to Harlem. And somehow, one of the musicians took me to Lucky Robinson's club. Lucky, that tremendous pianist, composer, awesome. So I was there. I was about maybe 17 years old. And he introduced me to him. I said, Randy Weston, I want you to meet Lucky Robinson. But even then, I didn't realize what a giant he was. I just didn't know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But he said something to me I'd never forget. He said, Randy Weston, he said, when James Reese Europe died, he said, we died. He said, we have never recovered from that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that stayed in my mind up until this day. And then I used to go to Eubie Blake's house right in Brooklyn and listen, telling me all them stories about them days, you know. And I'm just mind-blowing what our ancestors, what they did. And James Reese Europe is just beyond belief, completely wiped out of our history.
Mm-hmm.
That is the greatest tragedy of all.
What do you think we could learn from James Reese Europe today? What would be like one important thing or a couple of important things we could learn from James Reese Europe example?
Pride as a people. Pride of being an African American. Pride. Pride in your ancestors, your mother, that tradition that we grew up in. As a musician, pianist, conductor, you name what they didn't do. His whole concept of the Clef Club.
Mm-hmm.
In those days, the white unions wouldn't accept black musicians. So he was responsible for that. And as a child growing up in Brooklyn, I went to this club in Brooklyn, but I didn't know the connection with James Reese Europe. It was a musicians club, and we used to go up there as kids, and all the musicians would be up there, right on Schenectady Avenue and Fulton Street in Brooklyn. You go up one flight. And then the older musicians would be there playing cards, talking. They had a telephone, a blackboard.
Mm-hmm.
And I meet these guys, some of them laid off from Basie's band, some of them a few days off from Jimmy Lunceford's band, whoever. A lot of the big band musicians would come to Brooklyn, who the musicians in Brooklyn they knew, they would come to this club. I didn't know that was James Reese Europe, so we had a musicians club at that time. I went to the one in Harlem, where we could not only be with black leaders and inspiration, but with our elders. So as young people, we found out the secrets of being with the old people. They may not have the big, high degrees, but they had that wisdom and experience, you know. So then after I realized James Reese Europe. And then putting together this orchestra, 1913 with 10 pianos? Man, how you do something like that? And that's just the American side. The European side, the First World War. The first ones to cross the Rhine River in the 369th, you know.
Right.
Played in 25 cities in France. 25 cities to lift the morale and the spirits of the French and American soldiers who were gassed by the Germans.
Yeah.
So he got these musicians to join the U.S. Army, which is unbelievable. That's really science fiction. Join the U.S. Army and go to France, you know. And he was a spirit. And I lived in France for a while. And I went to some of these places where they played, you know. Yeah. Carnegie Hall, you know, the first one, you know. And he was also a great writer. He wrote about the music. He wrote about this was our culture, you know. He talked about before 1915, the word jazz didn't exist. It was just black music, African music, African-American music. No such word as jazz, you know. So he wrote about that. He wrote about the Russian music being close to our music. We said our music is uniquely us. This is our tradition of Africa in the United States. And, you know, and in addition to that, I was talking to Frank West, the great saxophone player. He told me Noble, his sister, Davy's sister, she taught him, one of his teachers. Yeah, so I could talk to him tomorrow about James Reese Europe.
Oh, wow.
I never met him, but my God, man, woo!
It's like you met his spirit, though. Like you knew, like, through the people that knew him and worked with him and also carried on that tradition. Like you said, it is a certain tradition. And it will boggles my mind, too, as well, that people don't know that people like James Reese Europe and Lucky Roberts, these are the people that influenced the George Gershwins and the Cole Porters and people like that in the urban Berlins, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, and I was lucky because U.B. Blake, he lived one block from my mother's church.
Oh, wow.
On Stuyvesant Avenue and Monroe Street. He lived one block away. So, again, we being trained by our parents, we being trained by the elders, check out the old people. They have the key, you know. So I go to U.B.'s house, and I sit in the corner, and he just tell me all these wonderful stories about the piano battles those guys would have. And he loved James Reese Europe. U.B. Blake, ooh. That was his idol. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it's like you said, some work to be done on this, really introducing James Reese Europe back into, like, the history of our people. And also I want to ask you about yourself, because you're an extraordinary person. I mean, you're a living person, but also you're a living legend. I mean, in so many ways. And you actually talked about the apprenticeship or the collaboration between the generations. And you was lucky to come at a time where that was going on really in that tradition of jazz. You came from a community. I know you had a close relationship with Thelonious Monk. Can you talk about that a little bit, how they influenced you?
Well, again, that goes back to the elders. I fell in love with Body and Soul by Coleman Hawkins. And I love that up until this minute was the greatest works of music I've ever heard.
Yes.
2 choruses he did on Body and Soul. He's not playing the melody, but you can hear the melody. So from that point on, I fell in love with Coleman Hawkins. So because of him, I discovered Hank Jones. Because of him, I discovered Sir Charles Thompson.
Wow.
Because of him, I discovered, believe it or not, Fats Navarro. And then Coleman Hawkins went from Fletcher all the way to Monk. Now, how do you do that? Nobody else but him was able to make that transition and still be Coleman Hawkins, right?
Yes, sir.
So whenever he come to New York, I have to go. And I went this one night, and he had this pianist playing with him. He had this quartet, Hawk, with the small groups. Beautiful, beautiful, man. They all have incredible ballads with that sound. You know, Coleman Hawkins, I love his sound. Nobody got a sound like that on the saxophone. And he's the father of the tenor saxophone. Everybody else come after him, right? So this guy at the piano, he's playing some funny notes. They playing. I said, man, what's Coleman Hawkins doing with this guy? I can play more piano than him. but something happened. I went home and something happened. Some of them sounds got in my head, you know. So I said, let me go back. I went back. And the first time I heard Ruby My Dear was Coleman Hawkins and Monk. Denzel Best on drums. I think it was a bass player they called Basie. I forgot his name. One of the most beautiful things I ever heard. And then I heard Monk, and I heard, for me, the magic of Africa in his piano. I heard a sound, because we love sound growing up. You know, we love Lester Young sound, we love Coleman Hawkins sound, like Roy Elwood's sound, because all the masters, they got a different sound on the instrument. You can play a lot of notes, but to get a particular sound that's recognizing you, that's not easy, you know. So I went to him, I said, Mr. Monk, I said, I'm Randy Weston. Now, I was working in my father's restaurant. I was not a professional musician. I just loved the music and hung out with all the musicians and played local gigs, you know, like amateur, not professional. He said, yeah, come at my house, you know. So I took his address. Went to his house, and Nellie, who later became his wife, let me in, and I came in, sit down. And Monk is sitting down, and he's got the radio playing very softly, playing some kind of soft music, you know. And then there's Billie Holiday in the middle of the ceiling. And there's a red light and the piano. So I'm sitting there. And you can feel the magic in his playing, man. So I started asking Monk all kind of questions. He didn't answer nothing. all I got was silence, man. And I was in that room for hours. After 1 hour, I had to shut up because I felt ridiculous. You ask me questions, you don't get no answer. How you do this, Mr. Monk? Nothing, you know. So finally, somehow I got the energy to get up. I said, Mr. Monk, thanks very much for inviting me to your home. He said two things to me. He said, listen to all kinds of music and come back and see me again. And I left completely bewildered. I didn't know what to do. It was just amazing. I went back one month later. He played about 2 hours on the piano for me. So then I realized, for me, coming out of ancient Sufism, that some of the masters, they speak through vibrations, not through the spoken word. You see? So Monk was checking me out on that level, that high level, which I can't explain in words. And from that point on, we became close. I'd come from Brooklyn. I'd take my father's car, pick up Monk, bring him to Brooklyn, take him different places, and I became so in love with this man and his music, you see. And it made an impact on the way I played the piano.
Wow. I mean, I want to ask you this, because I read the history books and stuff. So was Monk given a hard time, even though he was accepted by people like Coleman Hawkins, and you picked up on him as a piano man to a piano man? Was he actually given that hard of a time, you know, getting accepted by his peers or by the establishment?
sorry, I missed that. Say it again.
Was he given a hard time being accepted by the establishment, by other peers?
You mean Monk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
I can understand that.
I was making serious. I be reading stuff. I don't. You knew.
I didn't know what he was doing either, man. But the point is, Coleman Hawkins' view.
Yeah. So you say he was that tradition too, that Sufi tradition of Coleman Hawkins? Because you say he was ahead of the curve on a lot of things.
The only time I had an opportunity to talk to Coleman Hawkins it was very brief when we did the recording at the Fire Spot with Kenny Durham.
Oh, wow.
And I had a chance to do a small group, so I picked Roy Haynes, Wibble Little, myself, and Coleman Hawkins and Kenny Durham. And what happened, it was a live date at the Fire Spot. And Melba did the arrangements, but she was sick in a hospital in California. And the music arrived the day of the recording. So there's no time to rehearse. There's no doing a piece over again. No, that was it. People were there and whatnot. And Coleman Hawkins and Kenny Durham, man, they read that music like it was nothing. So that was the only time I had a chance to talk to Coleman Hawkins. But I was so excited to have this great man play my music, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And I also want to ask you yourself, I mean, like, did you play any other instrument besides piano? Because I hear, like, he's like you're a drummer and so many other things I hear, even horn. Did you play any other instruments before you settled on piano?
No, but, I learned from Duke, in particular, with Duke, that you approach the piano as an orchestra. So sometimes I try to get the sound of the balafon way up in the register of the piano. Sometimes I try to get the sound of a deep drum. Sometimes paint colors, But I learned that from Duke. He was a master of colors with his compositions and his orchestra, you see. So when I approach the piano, two things happen. It becomes an African instrument when I touch it. Because my African spirituality goes into that piano, And so that's part of it. And part of it is magic, too, the magic of Mother Nature, Yeah, it's the music is incredible, man. Music is a mystery. Music is magic. I love music before I ever played a note. I love music, man, Yeah.
Yeah, I was always wondering, too, but I was thinking about your parents. Like, you must have some really awesome parents to produce a person like yourself. Because I was thinking about you, when I first met you, you're so tall and stuff like that. And I'm thinking about if you was born today, would your parents push you more into athletics rather than performing art? I mean, like, were you ever involved in athletics growing up?
No, they wanted me to do the arts. I wanted to play sports.
Oh, really?
The other way around. Man,
yeah, I see. Wow.
That generation, I think about them people every day. They took us to hear Ellington and Billie Holiday and Jimmie Lunceford when we were kids.
Wow.
And you had to take lessons, tap dance or music or trumpet or trombone, and this is economically poor area of Bed-Stuy and Brooklyn, and that's why I wrote a song called African Village Bed-Stuy. Because that comes back from that ancient memory of art. It's extremely important for a child, you see. So we all grew up like that, Yeah, they would bring the music. Oh, my God. They might bring in the ink spots. They might bring in a spiritual. They might bring in an opera. And anywhere there was a concert, my mom and dad, they ready to go. Okay, what kind of music it is? Yeah. So I give them the credit for what we do. I wanted to play basketball and football. Oh, I wasn't any good anyhow. I didn't like to run, so my career didn't last very long. So, man, yeah, you tall. You got to put the ball in the basket. But they ain't talking about all that other stuff, No, Mom and Pop, that generation, they're beautiful people, man. And for some reason, everybody had a piano.
Wow.
People don't have no money. It was racist and discrimination. We couldn't go here. We couldn't go there. But in the black community, that's true all over the States, At our dance halls, we had our clubs, we had the black church every Sunday. You better be there. Let him be in that church every Sunday, man.
I would actually say, you said every place had a piano. I can recall this talking to elders down here that they had a piano in their home as well. That music was a very important part of everyday African American living. And I was thinking about, back in the day with the rent parties. Did you ever perform a rent party or been to a rent party by any chance back in the day?
We organized rent parties.
Okay.
After the original in the early 60s, again, going back to James Reese Europe, we organized the African American Musician Society. Melvin Weston, Ray Bryant, Sadiq Hakeem, Nadi Kamar, Lewis Brown, a couple other people, John Handy. Yeah, we organized a club to fight discrimination, to get anti-discrimination clauses in union contracts in New York. Responsible for that. We also did free concerts in the elementary schools for the children, And so it only lasted 1 year because I was not James Reese Europe. I was the chairman. We tried. We made some impact, but again, his influence. And not even up to today, because I'm going to do this year, we're going back into the elementary and high schools to play for the children, the history of our music, you see. And tell them about James Reese Europe, about Louis Armstrong. Tell them about the elders. Let them understand this is our royalty. I don't care how much we play today. We don't touch those people because they're the ones who set the foundation. Randy Weston, Count Bass say you can play the piano this way. Duke say you can play it this way. Nat King Cole say you can play it this way. Huey Big say play Willie the Lion. I go on and on. And that's, again, the influence of Lucky Roberts talking about James Reese Europe. And then I got all the books I could find. I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
So really, to be a great artist, you got to be a scholar, too.
I'm sorry?
You got to be a scholar. It's good to be like a historian or a scholar when you're doing art, right? Is that important to have a historical understanding of your tradition?
This is one of the greatest men in the history of this country, man. And then how he was just wiped out of the history, that's the part that is shocking to me. So it's part of my responsibility, to put his name out there. We just had a meeting a week ago. Maybe we'll do it with a big band and record, Yeah, but it's so important. And then the other side, again, Europe, what they did with his music. Now, they're the first ones to bring jazz music to France.
Right.
Yeah. And then he was gas.
Yeah, he was gas. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I was glad you was there at the NYU panel discussion to bring some type of understanding to the important story of the real story, because I know it was a professor from Howard that was there. They was talking about how popular culture had exaggerated some things. But it's like when you look at Black history, if you look at the real story of Black history, it sounds unbelievable. Like you can't believe it actually happened. Like your life, it sounds unbelievable. This talking to you about your life is unbelievable. Like, does this person actually existed?
I got this book. 100 Years of the Negro in Show Business.
Yes, sir.
By Tom Fletcher. I got this book about 40 years ago.
Yes, sir.
Something happened to it. I don't know what happened. Last year, it came back. I won't bother explaining why it came back. And this man, he writes about our people in show business in the late 19th century, early 20th century. Man, my mind is blown. I'll share one little story with you. I'll just say one little story. He said when Billy Robinson became 61 years old, Billy Robinson danced one block. He danced 61 blocks from Harlem all the way down to the theater downtown.
Wow.
And when he arrived, put his feet up on the chair for 2 hours to get ready to do his show.
Wow. Wow.
And man, there's so many stories like that, man. About these cats, man, who create this music and dance is awesome. And if our young people could just get a taste of that, it give us that pride, that dignity, realize we're from royalty. We're not slaves. We're not idiots. We're great people,
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And that music, I used to go hear Willie the Lion.
He was in 369, correct? Was he a Harlem Hellfighter himself? William the Lion?
Yeah. He used to play at a club called Nick's. downtown, and we used to go there. Willie skated that. Your young guys say, y'all can play the piano, check this out. Everybody say, yes, sir, Mr. Lion. And have a cigar in his mouth and a derby turned sideways, you know.
Yeah, I can see that mental image in my head. I can see the picture now. I never met him. It's before my time, but I can see that picture how you paint it. Yeah. It's amazing. Man. You know what I love about listening to your music, though? You mentioned Duke Ellington, and, like, you know how to use your music to paint images. You're such a painter. I mean, because Duke had a painter background. He was a visual artist at one point.
Amazing.
But, like, the way you use your music is it's so painterly. Like, I would just think your songs. I could listen to High Fly all day long. I could listen to James Reese Europe composition all day long. I mean, it's like, it blows my mind to listen to your music. I listen to one song for a whole day and not get tired of it and find something new to inspire me in listening.
Well, you know, you don't realize how much you get from the elders. But okay, now you wouldn't equate High Fly with Sea Jam Blues. Okay, they're two different songs.
Right.
They both are rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So way back, Sea Jam Blues, what I love, maybe somehow 50 years later or 10 years, whatever, it came with the High Fly. Not that particular rhythm. How you can take a rhythm and create a whole song behind one or two notes, you know.
Wow.
And those cats did all that stuff, man. I said, you see, my piano influence is very simple. Calculation, number one. How to play a few notes and get a message across. Master of the blues. Complete master. Right. The touch on the piano was only basic. How do you get that touch on that sound, you know? Nat King Cole, next.
Yes.
No comment. Utter beauty. Utter beauty. And he's playing and singing, not even looking at the piano. He's playing all kind of stuff. Okay. Then comes the high master, Art Tatum. Scared to death, but he gives you that imagination, give you that daring. You know, do something else, you know, and he was a master, the high master. Next was Monk, and next was Duke Ellington. Because by listening to Monk, I went back and listened to Duke, and I heard the connection. They have that, for me, that magic on the piano. You know? They get sounds that is very different. You know, they all got different sounds, but Monk and Duke, they, for me, pure magic. Yeah, it's amazing you say like Monk. Like when I first listened to Monk when I was in college, it was like probably back in '98, the fall of '98. I had brought a CD of his greatest hits supposedly, and I listened to him. I said, man, what's this stuff right here? It's kind of like it blew my. It's kind of like I didn't get with it. And then like you said, after a couple more listens I got, I said, wow, this is fascinating stuff. And when I started looking at like popular culture, I was amazed. Like at the songs they were using, there was, you know, in commercials and talk shows, late night talk shows, they were using a lot of Thelonious Monk's compositions. I was amazed how they snuck into like mainstream culture, some of his stuff, although he had a hard time breaking in the mainstream culture. They using all his stuff. Yeah, and the other part that made me very happy when Monk recorded, I forgot the name of the recording he did with G.G. Grice and whatnot. Monk recorded. He got Coleman Hawkins to play.
Oh wow!
Yeah. When Max Roach did the Freedom Now Suite with Abby and whatnot, he got Coleman Hawkins to play. But then I realized that this situation they call modern music, for me, doesn't really exist with us. Because Louis Armstrong was just as modern as Dizzy Gillespie.
That's so true.
But he's before Dizzy.
Right. And nobody sounds like Louis Armstrong on the trumpet. Nobody in history. Well, where does that sound come from? It's like I went to his house in Queens. Does it come from him being self-taught, or what is it you think? Why do you think he sound like that?
Oh man! See, them guys, for me, Coleman Hawkins and Louis, those kind of people, they were closer to Africa. They live in the African American community. They were closer. They did everything as their ancestors did, not realizing it, but they were just a couple of generations from slavery.
Right.
You know. So everything they approached was that mixture of African people, that African spirituality, that African pulse in the music. So you got all this diversity. I said, man, how do you get them different sounds on the piano?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How Bud Powell get a different sound on the piano than Monk? And you look and say, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. It's pure magic and a beautiful story. What our people have contributed to this country is just mind-blowing in music.
It is.
Oh, my God.
So it makes you ever get frustrated or angry? Have you ever gotten like that with people not acknowledging the contributions that black folks have made from a cultural point of view?
I'm just angry the way they treat us, African people, period.
Yeah, yes,
I've always been angry about that. But what do you do with the anger?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I take the anger like my ancestors and show the beauty of our people. And when I play that music, people will know this comes from the motherland. This is music. I do the African cookbook, I do the healers and whatnot, always going back to the ancestors and let people know. And people are very happy. We see all the races, all the religions in the audience, you know. We try to take them back to the beginning. And so all this stuff comes from Mother Africa that should have died, but she was so spiritual, so powerful, she couldn't die. So she comes up in Venezuela, in Cuba, in Brazil, in Mississippi, in New York, you know, taking whatever's available and making music out of it, whether it's a cigar box or a tin can or a trombone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And we start looking at this stuff. It's incredible story, man. I still don't get it. How they did what they did, man.
Well, it's kind of like when I listen to you talk, it reminds me of another person who probably knew a lot about that as well too. Was Sidney Bechet, another person I love to listen to. I mean, nobody could copy what he did for years. I mean, even Coltrane had to get the soprano saxophone. He picked it up back in the '60s, right? But Sidney Bechet was doing that back in the '30s and stuff, and in the '20s.
Because you had to have your own sound.
Mm-hmm.
Today, that's all. With electronics, so many people sound alike. But in them days, they really had to start from basic, coming out of slavery and racism, and make music whatever they can make music out of. You know, people like Blind Tom arrive. I don't know when.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. But when I went to Africa, I spent years listening to that traditional music. I understood where we come from. You see? Yeah. Because no matter what we do here, what happens there is more powerful and more spiritual. Because it describes the continent itself, and the continent is the spiritual center of this planet. You see? So when you get there and you hear the traditional music, I understand better. When I hear Ghanaian music, I understand the black church. That music will take you to the galaxy. That music will take you somewhere you've never been before. And we come from that. So whatever we touch, it's a continuation of African spirituality. You can call it jazz, you can call it blues, you can call it hip-hop, whatever you want to call it. But it's the African pulse that makes this music different than every other kind of music, you see.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
I want to ask you, because you we communicating, because you bring up everything I want to talk about. And you making it easy for me. You mentioned hip-hop, and I just want to get your take on it, because I know it's a divided thing in the jazz community. Like, I look at somebody like Max Roach, how he embraced hip-hop, versus somebody like Wynton Marsalis, who's been very critical of the culture. But I just want to get your take, on because you're an expert on African music and the history. How you view hip-hop or rap in particular, the art form of rap?
Well, all I can do, see, what I've done, my father taught me that. Mm-hmm. My father said, always try to be around the best minds that you can find. Mm-hmm. Always try to read the best books you can find on yourself and me and your mother. So that's how I grew up like that, Mm-hmm. So when I was in Nigeria in 1977, I met a fantastic Somali poet. His name was Musa. He told me something very interesting. He said, music is simply a miniature example of the universe. Does that mean the planets and everything is sound, harmony, and its melodies? And we come from that. The original music comes from the creator, all these magnificent bodies, and how they all swing, and how they go different directions and whatnot, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He said, therefore, music is the first language on the planet.
Yeah.
Before English, French, Arabic, before all of that, it was music. And the first musicians were the birds and whatnot, how Mother Nature is the original orchestra. And that's how we started. And our early ancestors, when they created music, they might have to cut down a tree, but they would say certain prayers for that tree.
Mm-hmm.
The spirit of that instrument is that tree, or whether it's whatever, Mother Nature. They make music whatever's available. He said, therefore, what happens? He says, music, when the music changes, you get ordinary music, you get ordinary times. Okay. So now what happened, they took the music out of the schools. Mm-hmm. So the people have to create a music based upon their environment. Hip-hop is what's happening today with young people. That's what they experience. Mm-hmm. You know, which has always been our history, one way or the other. But the African pulse is still there. I listen to some of that music. I hear the rhythms of Africa, you know, and the rap. You go to West Africa, man, you talk about some rap. Talk about some dance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we're all connected together. Whatever you want to call this music, it still has the same basic African pulse, African rhythms, you know. No matter what words are used or whether it's a drum or whatever. Just what describes today. Today, technology everywhere. People walk around with cell phones, you know, mm-hmm. or into computers, you know. Everybody is wired up. Where in our ancestors, they could hear the birds when the birds sing. They get inspiration from the bird. They could hear the thunder, the sound of a drum. Maybe I get that sound. Because they could hear a cricket, you see, to get the rhythms of Mother Nature. So that's why they were so advanced, because they were totally in tune with the nature of the situation. Whether it's big city life or rural life, that's how we grew up. But today everybody's wired up, you see. Mm-hmm. And that cuts down on originality for me.
So, Dr. Weston?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was making sure. I also want to ask you as well. You speaking of originality, and I don't play professionally. I just picked up a trumpet when I was in college, and I play every now and then. But I've always been fascinated by the trumpet in jazz history. There's so many great trumpet players that don't get acknowledged. Like I think about Jabbo Smith, for example. You know, I love Louis Armstrong. Nobody could do anything on trumpet that Louis hasn't already done, and it still sounds timely and fresh. But also I want to get your take on Freddie Webster. Like, I knew of Freddie Webster, but I couldn't really appreciate Freddie Webster until you told me about a recording he did with Jimmie Lunceford. So I just want to get your other, like, how great was Freddie Webster?
Maybe, oh, man. Freddie Webster, man, he's like not in a category. Mm. He's completely by himself. I mean, he had that sound, that incredible, beautiful sound. And his phrasing was so beautiful, just utter beauty on the trumpet. So what happened, I forgot how I discovered. That's why your painting of Jimmie Lunceford is so meaningful for me. And I'll tell you why.
Yes, sir.
I've never met Lunceford. I was too young at that time to know the giants, but we used to buy records. And my mother and father took me to the Paramount Theater, or one of those theaters to hear Jimmie Lunceford's band. Jimmie's band was on the same level as Basie and Duke and Count, you know, completely original type of music. And I went there. He had a hit record called Blues in the Night. And it featured Willie Smith on alto. Mm-hmm. Willie Smith had that kind of sound, not like Hodges, but that kind of beauty. But he had his own sound. And Blues in the Night was a big hit, whatnot. So I knew about Jimmie, but I didn't know about the rest of the band, except for the tenor player. I think he might have named maybe Joe Thomas or something like that, played tenor. Mm-hmm. But I never paid attention to the rest of the band or whatnot. So one night, somebody played for me Yesterdays by Jimmie Lunceford's band, which features Freddie. And it's one of the most incredible trumpet solos I ever heard in my life. Amazing. Then, I know, I'm going to jump ahead of myself. No, when I first heard Freddie Webster, when he did the introduction of Sarah Vaughan's first recordings, You're Not the Kind.
Mm-hmm.
And Freddie just played maybe 4 or 8 bars. That's all. But what he plays is just so beautiful. Have you heard that, Ron?
No, I haven't heard that. I got to look it up now. I got to dig in on the internet.
You're Not the Kind. Just and listen to maybe 4 or 8 bars.
Mm-hmm.
And what he does is just blow your mind. So because of that, I discovered a recording called Yesterdays with Jimmie Lunceford's band with his orchestra. I listened to this trumpet player. My mind was blown. And he died very young, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard where Miles, for me, came from was Freddie. But Freddie was more powerful. You know, he was just magic. So one night, in my father's restaurant, which I ran, because Max Roach lived very close.
Mm-hmm.
And because of Max, I met all the giants. I met Dizzy because of Max. I met Charlie Parker because of Max. I met Miles Davis because of Max, because all the other giants were from different cities, Detroit, Kansas City, Chicago, and came to New York.
Right.
So us being native New Yorkers, we could welcome everybody, you know, and Max was like that. See? So anyhow, in the restaurant one night, Miles was there, and George Russell, because Max was working on, George Russell was working on Dizzy's Cabana B, Cabana Bop, and he lived with Max at that particular time, okay? He was doing arrangements. And anyhow, we heard that Freddie Webster died. We got in my father's car. We drove from Bed-Stuy to Coney Island, and we stopped by the water. And Miles took out his trumpet and played over the Atlantic Ocean for Freddie Webster.
Wow.
True story. Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. I mean, you talk about Miles. Like, Miles is interesting to me in terms of, like, he didn't have the range or the gifts of a lot of the other trumpet players, like you mentioned, like a Freddie Webster or a Dizzy Gillespie. What, in your opinion, Miles had that made him such a great giant or a great music legend?
Well, he had that taste. He had that melodic taste. He had that cry in his music. When he played beautiful. It was kind of like a cry, a simplicity, you know, imagination, space. That was Miles, yeah. Because, again, did you know about Vic Coulson?
No, sir.
Okay, Vic Coulson played with Coleman Hawkins a lot on 52nd Street. He was before Miles.
Okay.
He had that same style like Miles. So look up Vic Coulson, Coulson. Yeah.
I definitely will do that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just fascinated with these horn players. I'm a fan of Feston Navarro, too, and Clifford Brown and Lee Morgan. Those guys, they really fascinate me, these trumpet players in jazz. Even Freddie Kemper.
Don't forget Roy Elvis.
Oh, yeah, Roy, Little Jazz, definitely. There's so many of them, though. I even like Freddie Kemper, too. I go back to Freddie Kemper. There's so many of those guys, man. And King Oliver. I mean, I like all them guys. They just, like, everybody had their different sounds.
Hey, there you go. I got a huge portrait of King Oliver in my house. The biggest poster I have is King Oliver.
He's an unsung. I mean, so many people got things from him, and they got a lot of things that were credited to him. But like you said, it's part of tradition.
Yeah, you know, because I always loved the Asians. I always look at the old people. I always love that stuff, man. Always as a kid. And being with this music, man, I started, I was coming from New Mexico. I had a gig out there, and I was coming, and something said to me, just write down all the brothers and sisters you could think of and different instruments, you know. So I wrote tenor saxophone, I wrote alto, I wrote soprano, I wrote trombone. And the list got longer and longer and longer. Either people I play with or people I've heard. You know?
Wow.
And I said, wow, we had a guy in Brooklyn named Leonard Hawkins. I don't know if Leonard Hawkins ever made a recording. He had a sound like Freddie Webster.
Wow.
You know? And so there's so many cats that with this music, because music is our life. For African people, it's our true language is music. We can't help it. That's our heritage, you know. Yeah.
Did you imagine it? Oh, I'm sorry.
I had one guy. Yeah, I had one guy in Brooklyn. You appreciate this, Ron. He was a piano player, right?
Mm-hmm.
He could play 10,000 songs.
10,000 songs. Oh,
but everything. But check it out though. But
he was even
he could only play in G flat.
Oh wow! So he was like kind of like an MP3 player or something.
He could play no other key.
Oh wow!
So when you grow up around these kind of people, man, you just watch and listen. What are you gonna do? Just learn.
Wow, it's amazing, man. That's incredible.
You don't forget people like that, you know. You don't forget that, you know.
Oh wow. So how was it like doing the jam sessions? Like I know y'all had a couple of famous clubs back in the day. How was it doing jam sessions?
Scary.
How was the thing?
Scary. Don't get up there unless you know what you're doing. You get your feelings hurt.
But how you gonna learn though? How will you learn? I mean, I know like
you got to shed your chairs and go back the next night.
Wow.
They're waiting for you, New York. Oh man! So you play saxophone? Come on up here, okay? Let's do Cherokee, all the keys. Many a night, boy, I me come up the bandstand in tears. Sonny Stitt, my God. Sonny Stitt used to play at a club in Brooklyn. Man, don't come up there with your saxophone.
Let me ask you about Sonny Stitt. I'm glad you brought up Sonny Stitt. Like, people always trying to say that he got his style from Bird, but I think he had his own style. He had his own about that style his own way.
That's right. He had his own sound. Sonny, that's my man. I only played with him one time.
Okay.
Only one time, but he lived in Brooklyn, you know. And and also, I keep going back to this. These guys would set the style of dress. If you were a musician, you couldn't go to the supermarket unless your shoes were shined, unless your clothes was pressed, your hat, your everything had to be perfect. And that's the other side that blew my mind. So when I went to West Africa to check out the musicians, man, they had to be very clean when they played the music. Yeah, it had to be very clean because you're closer to God. Yeah.
Do you see yourself like your talent taking you all around the world? Did you see this happening for yourself when you first started playing the piano at all? Did you visualize this?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Did you visualize yourself traveling all around the world with your talent? Like you visualize this starting out?
Listen, imagine myself, that Max Roach, I could kill him. He was the emperor of Brooklyn. Incredible, man. I'm in his house one day. He made me play for Charlie Parker. I was scared. I was trembling. Come on, Randy, play one of your songs for Charlie Parker. Yeah.
Oh, God. Wow. That's amazing. I'm trying to catch my breath.
And it was so much love, man. You'd have to call them and say, can I come? I go to Monk's house and ring the bell and walk in.
Oh, wow.
I go to UB Blake, ring the bell, go and walk in. I call her for no appointment.
What was Charlie Parker's response?
Oh, what he did, another short story. He had me talking to the mall. 1 month later, we was going to the Royal Roost, a club in Manhattan, which featured Tad Dameron, Charlie Rouse, and Fats Navarro.
Oh, wow.
And Curly Russell. So we were going to go down and check it out right now. So we're going down the stairs, and Charlie Parker's at the bar. And he sees us, a young drummer named Maurice Brown, who studied with Max. He's studying drums with Max one night. So then Charlie sees us, and he calls us like this, But I didn't know who he was calling because Charlie Parker, that's a high man,
Mm-hmm.
The guy, he's calling us. So we went down, and there was Charlie, always had his saxophone. Okay, wherever he went, because he'd be in Brooklyn a lot, again, because of Max. A lot of the cats would be in Brooklyn. Max Rose, that was the key. So he said, what y'all doing? We said, nothing. He said, come with me. Now, we never got to hear Tad. We walk up the stairs. Charlie Park calls a taxi. We walk to this club on 52nd Street. It might have been the Three Deuces or whatnot. Now, there's a band playing, man. Now, one thing you never, ever do is to stop a musician when he's taking a solo or when he's playing. That's death.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie walks up on the stage in the middle of the song, told the piano player to get up, and the piano player disappeared. He told me to sit at the piano. He told the drummer in the same band to get up. He disappeared. He got on the drums. Charlie took out his saxophone, played with us for 1:45 minutes, and then left. Packed up his phone and left. Never said a word or nothing like that. So we were in heaven for about 1 year.
Oh, wow. That's something, wow. So you thought a lot of your playing.
I guess. But again, that's the way they were, man. They were such original, and they were all characters, as you know. None of them guys, nobody like nobody else. Yeah, but we heard great people. Great people.
So you feel like that time will never happen again, like that golden era where a lot of these type of different dynamic personalities come together for one cause?
No, it's only one pyramid, only one pyramid, only one Nubia. No, them kind of civilizations. That's it. When you go to Egypt and you see the Sphinx, ain't no more of them.
Right.
Ain't no more Ellingtons and them kind of folks. No. That's it. That's our royalty. Yeah, that's the foundation of what we do. Every one of us touch some of their notes.
Let me ask you this, we always talk about, how black people, like you said, and you've been angry how Africans are treated here in America. But, I want to talk to you about, the effects of, we talk about the war on drugs, but I look at y'all generation as being really one of the first casualties of that war. You look at some of the jazz musicians. Did y'all understand what was going on at the time at all with the government and stuff, or how they, the drug situation with the jazz musicians?
Well, it's always been to destroy our creativity as African people. The time they put us in chains and took us away. The whole idea was to destroy the African empire. The whole concept of life is our ancestors. It's always been there.
Yes,
alcohol, drugs, heroin, omission, all the things to deny that this is also an African country, the United States of America. You see, the African people have contributed. This country will collapse. Just the music itself.
Yes, sir.
Because this music has been a healing force. This music has brought people together who've never been together. It broke down the barriers of racism. When people heard Louis Armstrong's sound, people all come together and smile. Forget about this and that and the other. So our contribution is enormous. That's the reason why it's such a fear to have the history of Africa in the Americas. But it's coming out slowly but surely, getting into the schools. The first history school for elementary school children should be the history of Africa. Not Europe, you see. But that's what happened. We lost the war. We were in charge for a long time. African civilization, we went to the top, we went to the bottom. And that's Mother Nature works like that, you see. But we have so much to be proud of, and that's what my life is all about, Because for me, music is the star, not Randy Weston, the music. Because music has taken me to so many beautiful places. I'm talking to you now, Ron, because of music.
Yes, sir. I'm very much honored. Yeah. I'm very much honored to talk to you. And I also want to ask you this as well. I got so many questions. I know I can't ask them all today. I look forward to talking to you again very, very soon. But I just want to ask you as well, in terms of like we deal with our people, we're such a blessed people. In a lot of ways, we're cursed people, not necessarily like cursed forever, but, like just not knowing who we are as far as our knowledge of self goes. Is it kind of frustrating to go to events and stuff where people really respond to your music in a positive way? Well, there's not a lot of our people in the audience. There's not a lot of our people that know about this history. Is it a frustrating process, you taking on the cause of trying to enlighten people about our culture?
Well, it's like times change, and when we became integrated, we got away from our culture.
Mm-hmm.
We're going down, we don't have the same cultural leadership that we had. We had people like Paul Robeson and Hazel Scott and Nat Cole and on and on. Because, we grew up with this royalty. And my mother and father, they would bring the best music in the house. Our kids today, they only hear one kind of music. They knew to fulfill your life on this planet Earth, you listen to all kinds of music. And you have a spiritual appreciation of the planet Earth, because all people on the planet have their own music, and we're all connected. But African music is as old as Africa. The whole concept of music came out of Africa. And it was created for spiritual reasons. It was created for the people in the village, whether it was a funeral, a baby being born, whatnot. Certain songs had to be sung at a certain time. Very strict rules in traditional music in Africa. Very strict rules, yeah. To be a master, you got to be clean of mind, you got to be clean of spirit. Here in the West, you just play good and you're great. Non-traditional people, no. They have other responsibility. They're historians, they're storytellers. They do everything in music. Everything in music. Heal with music, everything with music. And have certain sounds, certain colors for all of that. Because they were in touch with the Creator. They were in touch with the galaxy. They were in touch with the human body. Because the human body is a walking music machine. The sound of our voice, the rhythms of the blood, everything is rhythm and sound, you see. So that's the difference. But if young people have an opportunity, not just young, to realize how important music is, that in the beginning it was the blues and the spiritual was the revolution. And when Billie Holiday sang Strange Fruit, that was revolution. When to go into the black, brown, and beige, that was revolution, but spiritual revolution. So what a beautiful people we are and how much we've contributed to the world, despite what happened to us and our ancestors. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that. That's awesome. And also, you speak of women, like we don't really talk about the women contributions to the history of jazz. I don't feel like we do enough. And I just want to ask you about Mary Lou Williams, your thoughts about her.
Ooh, awesome. Scary.
I know you got some stories, Dr. Weston. I just know you got some.
Yeah, well, again, Mom and Pop took me to hear Andy Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
The big band, and Mary Lou was the arranger, and Mary Lou was the pianist. And she was beautiful, and she did a piece called the Boogie Woogie. I forgot now, one of her compositions, but I really met her through Melba Liston. And that's when I was with these two giants, these two queens of music, Mary Lou was fantastic, and she was a very spiritual woman, yeah. And when she died, when they had the funeral for her at Park Avenue, at a big Catholic cathedral now, and all the bishops came out. When they brought the casket out, somehow I didn't go into church. I didn't want to go into church, but I was across the street watching it. And they brought her out. It was like royalty. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so Mary Lou, she was a queen. And don't mess with her on the piano.
Well, I heard a lot of guys like Bud Powell.
Your feelings hurt.
I heard that. I heard a lot of people like Thelonious Monk and Bud Powell learned a lot of things from her. In terms of the theory and stuff.
Man. Man. Yeah. Okay, Ron, I got to get off the phone, man. I'll be here till tomorrow.
Yes, sir. So, I mean, can I call you tomorrow or call you? I couldn't hear you, sir. I'm sorry.
Can we end up? I got people on the phone who want to reach me.
Oh, yes, sir. We can hang up. I'd like to talk to you sometime in the near future, if you don't mind.
I'll be here till tomorrow talking to you.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I really enjoyed it. But I open the words great to tell too.
I appreciate your questions, man. It's very beautiful.
Oh, no problem. I look forward to talking to you very soon. I'll give you a break for now. I'll definitely give you a break. And I want to thank you. The words are great to tell, and we love you madly, and keep on doing what you're doing, sir. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And
yes,
make me a copy of everything we're doing, huh?
Yes, sir. I definitely do that. And I hope I can see you this year, too. I'll let you know when I'm in town.
Wonderful. Yeah, I go to Switzerland the 3rd of February, and I'm going to go to Senegal and spend some time with the traditional people, hangouts, you know.
Yes, sir. You are the man. I appreciate it.
Oh, try hard. Thank you so much. And again, Jimmie Lunceford is right in front of me, man.
That's cool. And also I want to tell you this. Mary Lou Williams, she lived in Memphis back in the 20s when Jimmie Lunceford was teaching at Manassas High School. They were hanging out in Memphis back in the 20s, Jimmie Lunceford and Mary Lou Williams, when she was living here.
Ooh.
So they had a lot of interesting conversations out there. Well, I won't hold you, Dr. Weston. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.
Take care, man.
Take care. Thank you.